Hey there Internet, Keeve here, and welcome to the Cars and Keeve YouTube channel. In this video, we are ending out the month of DI with build your own DI system. So basically the concept here is, if you had the budget of a CR Spotless with a bypass, what could you build by yourself? This right here is what I would build. But you know me, we always have to show the simple, cheaper version, the budget version. But it's also easier for a lot of consumers to work with because you're using mainly garden hose threaded equipment versus national pipe thread type equipment here. Some people can find this a little intimidating. The CR Spotless with a built-in bypass for a 20-inch setup for a wall mount is about $460. Now, the cheapest version is going to put you right at $300, about $296. Now, that is with no bypass and no TDS meter. Now, if you want to run budget with a bypass, it's going to be about $346. So it's about 50 bucks for this bypass setup right here. Then if you want to add an inline TDS meter, which is what the CR Spotless has, you're going to be at $376. So for almost $100 less, we could run this setup. And that's going to get us inline TDS. That gets us a really good bypass that has no restriction, unlike the CR Spotless you saw in my last video. It can only do 3 gallons per minute through the bypass. I want to do all the flow through the bypass. That is the one downfall of the new CR Spotless with the bypass. Now, if you want to go for the bigger version here, we're looking at $331, no bypass, no TDS meter. That's bare bones. So only about $40 more than this setup. And really the only difference between the two is this has the built-in cage. Now this is 170 bucks on Amazon. I bought it. It's no longer available, only the 3-stage. There's actually one with 3 of these involved. But you can go to allfilters.com. They have them, I think, on like a 1 or 2 week back order, but right now they're $150 and free shipping. Want to go with the bypass? We're going to be at $416. We want to add bypass everything with the TDS meter, $446 to build this whole set. So we're $14 cheaper than the CR Spotless. And guess what? We are using the CR Spotless cartridges for these two builds because currently it's the cheapest way to buy 2 20-inch canisters with resin already in it for 140 bucks. You can't beat that price. So we're going to use those. We're using their alignment pieces. So we had to pay 8 bucks a piece from CR Spotless for those. So you can set this on the ground. You could treat it like a tank type DI system. It doesn't have to be mounted on a wall, but you can also still mount this on a wall, and it makes it much easier to remove these canisters because you have extra space around the back. These aren't literally like right on the wall. You have all that extra room. Per piece, this is much more expensive. But if you want to build this, the problem is on Amazon, when you buy adapters, usually they come in packs of 2. Well, a lot of these stainless steel fittings over here, I bought 1 each. The garden hose fitting here on the other side, they were both about the same price as the 2-pack. So you're getting more value here per piece, but are you going to use those extra pieces? If you are, then you got a deal. If not, you might want to buy the nicer stainless steel piece because in the end, it's going to cost you the same amount. I only did the TDS meter inline on this unit. I didn't feel like doing it in 2 because I didn't buy the second TDS meter for this one. I only have the 1. But it's the exact same process for this one versus this one. Now to install a TDS meter, you need one of these. The TDS meter will pop right into there. And then I bored out the bottom with the 5/16 drill bit. Just don't drill too far because we don't want the prongs of the meter touching the sides of the plastic. So you need to bore that out. Now to make the hole, you're gonna need a 7/16 bit like this, and you need a half NF20 tap to make the threads. So we are using CR Spotless cartridges. They're really good cartridges. These work really well because in the last video, we tested these and it got to 14 ppm, 1,200 gallons on my 60 ppm water. So that's pretty much right on what they're stating for that kind of TDS. So a really good bit. They have new spacers now. These are much better. We put these on the outside, and most of these canisters, they taper. So as you get further down, this gets tighter. That keeps the washer up top nice and aligned and dead center, because if it's not dead center, you could have issues with blow by, where if it's just kind of off the side, the water's not necessarily working, and then you're going to get a little contamination in there. All of these are just garden hose connections with gaskets. We don't need Teflon tape. That's why it's the much more simple solution. Now this will come in 2 separate boxes. Each one of these is about $50. It's like $50, $52 each canister. and it comes with its own mounting bracket, comes with its own wrench to use to undo the canisters. In the middle, to connect them together, we need a 3/4 inch NPT male to male. That's going to allow these to be together, but it's a little bit tricky because they're two separate pieces, right? So we can screw into one of these with a wrench, but the other one, we're basically going to have to take the tank off, and then you have to thread it with the manifold and spin the manifold and get it to where it's tight to where it's not going to leak, but it also lines up. Now on the ends here, we have 3/4 inch MPT because both of these housings are 3/4 inch. That's why the middle is 3/4 inch. They're all national pipe thread. We have to convert that to garden hose. The end part has to have a female swivel. Most male ends don't have a swivel. You know how hard it is to screw in. On the opposite side, we have the same 3/4 inch MPT male that screws into the housing. We're using our blue monster tape as well as our Teflon tape. Female of the hose coming out will go here. And then obviously at the end of that, the male will go wherever you're going to need it to go, whether it's going to the pressure washer or whether it's going to go to just a garden hose sprayer. Now, if you don't have a metering device and you don't know how to know if you have 2.5 gallons per minute or not, you can get a meter like this. I've used it, extremely accurate, and it's also calibratable. That would just go on this male side out here, or you can go on the female side on this side, whatever you want. So the first we want to do is on our input side, we want to put in a shutoff valve because we want to be able to stop the flow of water into the DI system and run it through the bypass. Now we need to be able to keep this female swivel on this side. So we got a T that has the female swivel on the outside plus a male. That way we can hook the hose up on this side to go around. Now on the hose outlet, we're going to need a shutoff valve as well. That way, when we turn this valve off, we turn this valve on, that will allow us to do our bypass. Now you can make this look any way you want. You can have it go around the back like this. We can have it down using our swivels. You can have it look nice and neat like that. Female side of the hose goes right here. And make sure when you're screwing all these in that they all have the gaskets, because a lot of these come in the box, the gasket's in the bottom, and it's not actually in the housing itself. Now on the opposite side, to stop backflow from coming back in when the bypass is running around, I'm going to run a shutoff valve right here. Then you're going to need something slightly different than the other one. This one's got two female swivels on it, one on the T side, one on the outer side, and then a male. So that way this female will screw in here, extend that male side out this way, but then also allow us to screw the female side into the hose. Now this shutoff valve isn't necessarily needed because if you have the bypass off and you have the flow going through, it's going to go through, it's just going to go through the hose and it's going to stop right here. Doesn't mean much, but it's aesthetically pleasing for me to have it the same on both sides. And plus we bought a 4-pack, so we have all 4 shutoff valves. We might as well use all 4 shutoff valves, right? And then we put the male end of our hose in this swivel. And there you go. That's our whole budget build, the full 20-inch system. Now you can build this in a 10-inch. It's going to cost not much less, like maybe 20 bucks less to go with a 10-inch system. If you don't have room, that's better to go. But for money wise, for value, the 20-inch system is better to go. You're going to get about 15 pounds, 14.5 to 15 pounds of resin. And if you want to add that TDS meter, it's literally going to go right here on the output side. It does look a little weird having the wire coming out the top, but I just felt it's just a much easier installation. Now here's the one big downfall of having the 2 separate metal and not one structure holding it together. These still can independently turn on this, a screw right here. So, if you don't keep them nice and straight, if they're wall mounted, you're perfectly fine. If you're standing it up, it really doesn't have the balance. So to install the resin, we're going to lay it down like that. We're just going to do it on one of them for the video, but we're going to use the tool that we got. We're going to pull towards us. You take your CR Spotless, take the ring that we purchased, put it down, hold it from the top, get your 2 fingers, and then you'll just guide it in. And we take our tube, we line it up, and then we just spin it until the threads catch. Once you get it as tight as you can, then you'll put it down because it's already lined up. It's already in sync. Then we'll tighten it from here. There we go. All right, so there's no crazy testing in this video. Like I said earlier, we did all the testing in the CR Spotless video for the resin life. So you can go look at that last video. It'll show you how we went the whole night long. That thing just kept on going and kept on going. These cartridges are the same. These are going to perform the same as long as we keep the gallons per minute at about 2.4 to 2.5. I have my Elay sprayer connected to my Flexzilla hose, and I'll use the shutoff from right here to be able to move that water up and down. But we also want to test to make sure that our bypass is flowing what we want, at least 5 gallons a minute. Like we want kind of a pretty unrestricted flow. The CR Spotless was stuck at about 3.2, 3.17, I think was the most we got. That's a little disappointing. I want my bypass to do everything. I don't want it to be restricted at all. We have it off going into the filter. We're going to turn the bypass on. Water just went through there, and we're going to leave this off so we don't get any backflow back into the filter. And then we're going to run this. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So we're at about 6 gallons a minute. Perfect. We want that really, really nice flow. It's working really, really well. Now we're going to close off the bypass. There. We'll close it off here. Now we're going to run through the filters. We're going to run through here. I'd already pre-run this, so the water's already full, but we're going to dial the gallons back to about 2.4, 2.5. All right, so we're dead on 2.4 gallons a minute. We're going to take a sample. We're going to measure it with our calibrated TDS meter here. And we were at 0 ppm. So we have clean water. Now let's actually see what our incoming is. It's usually about 60. So we're going to flip the switch here, run the bypass, close that, open this. We'll run it full flow, grab some water. Exactly 60 ppm. 160 bucks for all of this. Like everything you see here. Now, if you just want to use this the way it is with no bypass, you're going to need either 2 ways to do this. You're going to need something like this. These are brass ones. These are meant for the cheap one, but I found out it was 3/4 and not 1 inch, and this doesn't fit. But you basically screw that 1 inch in here. That gives you your female on one side. Then you have, obviously, you screw it in, you have your male on the other side, and you're set to go. Now, say you already have a couple of 3/4 inch adapters, then you can use an 1 to 3/4 female like this. That'll screw in here for your 1 inch, and that adapts down to allow you to screw in a male 3/4 inch just like that. You saw in some of the B-roll or whatever, I have lots and lots of Teflon tape on here, and that's because I need a tight fit, because in order to make this look really aesthetically pleasing, we want the valves to be in specific positions. We want the elbows to be in specific positions. So we need them to be able to be tight enough to be watertight and not leak, but also be where we want them to be. It's basically mirrored on both sides. I have the 1 inch to 3/4 adapter, male to male on both sides. Now these aren't going to look the best because off camera I'm going to do all of the torquing. Now I want to show you real quick the valve. So this is a T valve. L, this is never closed. It either goes this way to the middle and out to this side, or into the middle and that way. You see it's closed on this side, but it is completely see-through. So when it sits in on the input on this side, the flow is only going to go straight through into the filters and out the other side. So you see we now have the lever going that way. As you see, it's open on this side and it's open on this side, but closed here. Now it's going to be like this. So this side's closed going to the filter. So now it's only open here and in the back. So that's going to allow it to go out the bypass. I didn't show this in the last videos and people just didn't understand, but that's how a T valve works. You can take this nut off and you can actually pull the lever off and then flip it around 180 degrees. So that way it's in the position you need in the forward this way, or you can fix it left to right. Since one of these came, this way out of the box, I didn't have to change it. I did what I showed you earlier, where I took the nut off and I reversed it. So they're both exactly the same on both sides. Now the input is on this side going through. You can change that orientation by taking all these nuts off the top and then taking these two and then completely flipping them around so you can have the input on the opposite side. So we have our valves, and then we're just going to make it look like that and like that. Now these elbows is what's going to help us allow to have this nice outer edge here, but also give us that angle to be able to hook up that hose. On this side, this is going to be the male because we're going to want the female of the hose that's leaving. And then obviously if you have some piped system and you're going to wall mount this, then you're going to need to do whatever you need to do to get this to match up. Then on this side, we have that female swivel. Now we have our hose. I kind of thread it through the back like this. And then we work with our angles. Now top here is where I have the adapter set up for the TDS. So I used what I mentioned earlier, 7/16 drill bit, drilled straight down on this nice output section. Then I tapped it out with this half NF20 tap, and then I screwed that right in. Then my TDS meter snaps right in. And then I took the back out of the TDS meter so I can run it around like this, and then run it through the middle and run it into the back of the TDS meter here. And then I have it Velcroed down. And that way the wires are kind of hidden in the back. Before we get into testing this unit, if you've watched my videos before, let me know if the audio quality is any better. I have a new DJI mic right here that's kind of sagging my shirt a little bit, but it should have great quality. And especially when you've seen only half my face through the video, it's not blocking the microphone on my camera. It's recording me the whole time. All right, the final test. Now, I do apologize. Just a minute ago, I had put the garden hose thread pieces on the wrong sides. I had to take them off, reverse them because the in is on this side and the out is on this side. Yeah, look at that flow. Now we're gonna tone it down because obviously we don't want to wear down the DI water, right? That is 2.5 gallons per minute. Grab our sample. We are running 0 ppm. I mean, obviously, these filters do so well. Our TDS meter on top is measuring 0 ppm as well. That's working perfect. Now I want to check to see what our original TDS is and see what our full flow is through the bypass. So now to do our bypass, like I said, I have these mirrored, so I changed the lever on one side. So now when I pull it this way, we're going to run this way. As you see, it stopped because as I have it stopped here, it stopped flowing from this side. And I'm going to pull this way. Now let's turn it all the way up. And that's about 7.5 gallons a minute. 61 ppm. Well, there you go. And obviously we beat the CR Spotless in the bypass, which was the whole point of this. Their bypass is too restrictive at 3.17 gallons per minute. The cheaper version did it at a little over 6. This did it at 7 because this is free flow. The cheaper one has slightly smaller orifices in some areas, slightly smaller diameters, but we have that built-in TDS meter. We have the stand. We have the awesome stainless steel bypass, and it just looks amazing, doesn't it? It can freestand, it can hang on the wall, it's protected from all sides. Now, am I going to use this? I don't know. I'm limited in space. This adds a lot. Now you can take those elbows, put them here, point them down, take the valves, point them down so you can save some space. You can move things around. You have limitless options. I still might go back to my original CR Spotless because I don't want the bypass. I have an entire bypass built in my wall setup. But also I want to thank you for 20,000 subscribers. So in a week or two, in about 2 weeks, we will do an announcement for the 20,000 subscriber giveaway. And there'll be links in the description below for anything in the video. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Doesn't have to be wall mounted, but it can also be golly, my pants. Showing a little bit too much leg. All right. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Damn. Focus, you bitch. Come on. Focus. God, the focus. Come on, focus. This video, I have a new DJI. Let me know the mic quality. Oh my gosh.